Okay, everyone, let's get this started, and let's keep the volume down a little bit in the back because we're also live streaming. I'm not sure if every one of you knows, but we have people who are watching online who I have to welcome to this evening as well, so thank you so much for being here. And thank all of you for being here as well. Today we're going to talk about product market fit and everything that has to do with that, right? So how to find users, how to generate revenue, how to make these users match to your product, and how you can make it work. I have to start with some unfortunate news, which also is some great news in another way. So I will try to explain. My colleague, Aneta, who is going to speak here today, unfortunately got sick during this weekend. She has 2 small children, and everyone with children knows how this is, right, with getting sick and, well, how this works. Luckily, she is feeling well enough to be with us via a live connection online. I know this is not ideal or not what you expected to, right, because you're expecting a real-life speaker here. But we try to emulate it as good as we can, so she will connect in a second with us from Poland, actually, from our home, to be able to speak with us. And I hope she feels fine enough to pull through, but I think it is. So very sorry for that. On the other hand, we try to make it as best as we can, and I think after a few pandemic years where we had to sit a lot home, and we know how this sometimes is when someone is sick. So thank you already for your understanding in that sense. Yeah, let me get started. We're talking about product market fit today, which is a topic that interests all of you. And it's our first event that Boldare hosts in the Netherlands, actually. So we recently opened an office in Amsterdam at this location, actually, in Spaces. We try to host a bunch of events in the future, and this will be the first one of a series, actually. So I encourage all of you, if you like it, enjoy it, have fun with it, to come again. But before I'm going to head over to Aneta, I will quickly just share something about Boldare, and I will keep it very brief, right? So we're basically a digital product building company, let's say it like this, with more than 18 years of experience. And if I say 18 years of experience, I really mean 18 years of experience. So we've been building products for small companies, big companies, with very different requests and demands for the, well, last 18 years. We have more than 200 people working for us from many offices, actually. And in total, we've built more than 300 digital products. And if I say digital products, it can be an app, of course, it can be a website, it can be anything you can imagine. And I think we proud ourselves for our beautiful designs, for our cutting-edge technology, and how we are able to make it in a human-centric way, actually, with the user in mind, which is something that's very crucial. So, as I said, 220 Boldares in total. We have some of our colleagues here today. So if you have any questions at some point later this event, feel free to always contact us. And for the people online, it's a bit of the same. If there's any questions, you can put it on the chat in the live stream. And we will answer those questions. So I already said we have an office in Amsterdam recently. We also have offices in Poland, in Warsaw, in Wrocław, in Gliwice, and in Krakow. And we also have an office in Hamburg. Besides that, we have colleagues working all over the world, actually. And I think it might sound familiar to some of you, especially since the pandemic, that we noticed more and more, but even before, that people can basically work from anywhere. And since our clients are based all around the world, many of our colleagues are traveling or based in other locations to serve them as good as we can. So I can tell you many more things actually about Boldare, about what we do, about who we are, right? Show many nice numbers which are interesting, but I want to emphasize something else actually, and that is Boldare is more than just a company. And this might sound strange to some and interesting to others. We try to build a little bit in this world, build products, but build also other things. So the Boldare Foundation, for example, also founded a school in Poland, which is a school which works in a self-organizing way, where children have a lot of freedom and where we try to share our values with the world. And something else that we work on very hard lately is the Agile Product Builders community, which is a community online on Slack where we try to share learnings, fuck-ups, like it says here. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use the word in the stream, but I did it anyway, so it's too late. And we try to learn from each other and build a community of people who are interested in building products and learning from each other, asking questions, sharing information, anything like that. This community is something that's very dear to my heart and that we've been working on very hard. It's very beta, I would say, so in a very early stage. It's a Slack community with many different channels, people from all over the world. And we're trying to get more members in there as well, just for information sharing, knowledge sharing, and just creating something together. And maybe before we start, if you want to join the community, I cannot force you, of course, But you all have these nice phones that do these amazing things with the QR code. You can just scan this with your camera and it will guide you directly to the Slack community actually, where you can go in. It works beautiful. You can also do it later, so no worries if you don't want to. But it's a really nice community, and also any questions that you might have here today, you can also put them there, and there will be other people who will be interested in as well, colleagues who can answer questions, anything like that. So I will give over to my colleague Aneta. If she's correct, she's at home and will be live here with you in a second. About Aneta, she has a lot of experience actually in her field. I talked to her before. Has been living in Berlin, has been working with startups and with big companies, is a digital product strategist actually, one of the few that we have at Boldare, and will give you all the context today about this talk that you need. She can hear us when we use the microphone, so if you have any questions at the end with the Q&A, she will just answer them like she would be here in real person. And for the rest, I thank you already for your time and attention, and I give the stage over to Aneta, and I would like to have a big applause for her already. Thank you, Aneta.
Hello, good evening. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so my name is Aneta Orszewska, and I'm, as Matt already said, I'm a product strategist at Boldare. And I'm so sorry I couldn't join you in person today. I was really hoping to actually meet you face to face. We haven't had so many opportunities to actually see and talk live. So shame on me. Shame on the viral infection that the whole of my family got. And yes, what we want to talk and what we want to discuss today, and probably also like to continue the discussions hopefully into the networking, um, is to talk about product market fit, which is like one of the most important parts in the product journey. And before I actually talk a little bit about like what product market fit is, I will tell you quickly why we even like why is it important at Boldare for us to talk about product market fit or product scaling. Why do we think it's an important concept? Um, and just to want to go quickly through the agenda, I will talk very briefly about full cycle product development, so a specific approach to product development that we adopted at Boldare. Then I will move over to product market fit, and then I think the piece that's most interesting for you guys today, I will tell you a story about one of our clients, TeamAlert, an American company that we supported on their path to product market fit. And we will conclude with key learnings. So what we and our partner learned during this journey. I will also be happy to answer any questions that may come to your mind during the talk. I hope I will not bore you too much, and we will have 15 minutes after the talk to actually answer your questions. Right. So full cycle product development. This is an approach that we decided to adopt at Boulder, inspired by a lean startup, which you may have heard about, um, as to build digital products gradually, testing assumptions gradually, and validating them with the market. So basically, from the very first idea of a founder through prototyping, through building minimum viable products, then hopefully reaching product market fit and scaling. This process consists of 4 phases, and each of them is defined by distinct business needs and user goals, also different product hypotheses that we want to validate, and at Boulder with different teams and specific actions. And why am I talking about it? I think after 18 years of developing digital products, we have found that this approach is much safer for our partners and much more efficient than the traditional waterfall approach, where the development tasks are planned and executed in a linear way. And in our opinion, FCPD offers much less risk, especially financial risk, and a faster validation with the market, and also getting to true user needs. And now moving over to the topic of today's meeting, product market fit. I don't know what is your experience or your knowledge about this specific phase of product development, and I will just briefly talk about what it is, how we understand it also at Boldare. Yeah, so I wanted to start out with these two quotes by Andy Rachleff and Mark Andreessen, because they tell us a lot actually what product market fit is. So the first quote is: "First to market seldom matters, rather first to PMF is almost always the long-term winner." And being in a good what product market fit is being in a good market with a product that can satisfy that market. So in this nice chart that you can see on the right, you can see the fit between the product and the market. So hopefully when you reach it, you are providing a product that solves a real problem for a big group of people in the market. So I think that summarizes it nicely. And here I prepared, looked for some discouraging statistics, or maybe gloomy statistics that show that are actually evidence that product market fit is quite tricky and elusive. So why do products fail and never reach this most desirable stage of product market fit? And there are a number of reasons. The reason number one is no market need, which is the topic of actually finding PMF. And some more data that you can also see on the slide here is 75% of venture funded startups fail. That's quite a lot, 75%. And 70 to 90% of innovation projects at established organizations also fail. So a lot of people are trying, a lot of product teams are trying to reach PMF, but they are not successful. And I think the reason is it's just not easy. And you cannot really copy processes or business models to reach it. So what really is product market fit? Um, so if we had a closer look at this chart that I was showing you a couple of slides earlier, you see that it's not the first phase of a product growth, but it's in the middle. So if you're looking for product market fit, you should have already validated the problem. So you should already know that you are solving a real problem for the users. You also validated customer need. So you actually confirm that there are customers with this problem and they may have interest in purchasing your product. So hopefully you already have users paying for the solution. And PMF, it is a phase where product gets traction on the market. So you get some kind of organic growth. You do not really have to invest much in sales and marketing. It happens like naturally, organically. Users love it and recommend it to one another. So there is some kind of virality about it. And if I was to name a goal of product market fit, I would say that The optimal goal for PMF is to have a validated, sustainable, and finely tuned business model on a market that can sustain it. And you can see that there are like two sides of it. So there is the business model with the solution and with the value propositions, and the market that's big enough to actually feed it. And if you're in such a in such a position, in such a situation with your product that you're thinking what are the first steps on your journey to product market fit, there are some questions that are worth asking, like, is the market segment that you're thinking about big enough to sustain the business model? Because in many cases, the segments are not big enough. The users are super happy about the product. The product is great, but the segment is too small. Another question that's worth asking is, does my product match user needs? And it's a super important question because many product managers or startup founders fall for this trap of falling in love into their own ideas, and not really looking for the user needs or trying to understand them. Another question is my business model finely tuned to deliver the value proposition? So apart from the solution that's delivering the value the user wants, you also need to think about other areas such as channels, like how will I get my message across to my users? Is my team big enough? Do I have enough resources? Do I have the right infrastructure? Do I have the processes to support all the value delivery? And do I have all necessary partners to deliver this value? So you're thinking like more holistically about it, not only about the user and the product. And yeah, as you have seen on this startup failures charts, there are a lot of challenges and traps that product creators can fall for. And one of them is lack of strategy. So you definitely need a good product strategy. Uh, Instead, there are messy, chaotic processes. There aren't goals or like milestones defined, and there is like a lot of counting on luck. So luck, of course, is nice, but it's not enough. Another trap is that you can focus only on the solution and you can forget the business model. So you have a great product, but you do not have enough means, enough resources to actually deliver it to the users, to the segment. Or the product is great, but you focus on the wrong segment. So that's what I already mentioned, that the market segment is too small, or or maybe it's too broad. Another trap or another challenge is poor validation, and this is a really like a key point. So if you're too much in love with your great ideas and you do not really feel that you need to like confirm if those ideas are worth testing with the users, so that's a situation of too many unvalidated assumptions, and you end up in such a situation that you're building and investing in a product, and then nobody wants to use it. Right. Another challenge or a trap you can fall for is poor analysis of your standpoint or starting point. So it's very important to actually understand what kind of position you have on the market, what kind of strengths you have, what kind of threats there are. So really understand well what's the starting point. Um, Another important trap is focusing on the wrong metrics. The probably majority of you is familiar with the term vanity metrics. Um, if you focus on the wrong metric for your PMF, you can get totally detracted. So if you, for example, choose like not maybe not retention but number of newly created accounts, and it does not really matter like how many accounts, how many new users come to your product, but what's most important is how many stay, then of course it's a wrongly chosen metric. And one of the most common traps is copying of business models. So there are many cases on the market like, that are super popular, and people think that if they simply copy um, elements or whole business models of those the products that were successful, they will be successful too. Yes, so like to summing up this introduction to product market fit, with years of building digital products, we believe that it's worth focusing on those like three elements, or three things are really super important. So first, your focus should be on understanding the user needs and validating the user needs and value propositions. The second one is fine tuning of all elements of the business model. And so these are like two most important things, but it is also important how you do it. So all of that should be done in a series of meticulous validation cycles. And this is where you need lean startup for. So we really need proof from the users and from the market that the things that we assume really work. So if I were to or if Boldare and me were to give you some tips on how to approach or what to remember about in the formulation of product market fit strategy, it would be those things. So there are different mechanisms and tactics than during problem solution fit. So the really like first phase where you grow a product, where you develop a product. You need a good plan for market research, for user research, and good analysis. You also need a plan for validation of hypotheses around the value proposition, and a thoughtful plan or strategy. So of course not too precise, like we do not want to be waterfall, and we do not want to like predict the future, but we need some milestones, or we need like a rough path, or which way to we want to go. Yes, and what's also what we found useful is using various validation techniques. So not only product development, but user interviews, so in-depth interviews, IDIs, or landing pages, or Wizards of Oz, or prototyping, because these are much faster and much more cost efficient than actually building products or MVPs. And there is a nice book by Strategizer, testing business ideas. You can find a lot of tactics or techniques how to test product value or value propositions in a really a nice and simple way. Right. So now, just to quickly sum up the most important, like most important ideas in the search for product market fit, you need to focus first on the product audience, and the goal is to discover, to understand, and to respond to user needs. And you can do it by analyzing user groups or looking for pain points and the needs. And you can see like as a sample tool that we often use, which is value proposition canvas. That's a really nice tool in looking for pain points and the user needs, understanding user needs. um, what else? You need to observe user journey metrics, observe and adapt your value propositions, and also look at sales data. Sales data, so what you already have is a great source of knowledge. You can track and you can observe a lot of trends and user behavior there. And of course, don't forget to do user testing and gathering user feedback. And so that's the look like onto the users. And now you also need to look outside of your product, so on the market. And in order to do that, like to have a really nice look, a view of the market that you want to focus on, is assessing the market size. So trying to understand if this market segment you're looking at is big enough, which verticals to focus on. So let's say you focus on dairy, and dairy like is a huge segment. So maybe there are specific verticals or specific there is specific size of companies that you want to go for. And the more precise the market you define, the better. It's also worth tracking market trends, especially with those that maybe look into the future. What's going to happen, how things that are happening on macro scale on the market may affect your customers or the segment. It's important to observe economical trends, so like crisis, wars, pandemic. We have all seen how the 2020 pandemic of coronavirus changed the digital markets. It's also great to do a competitive analysis, so really observe who is your competition and what kind of value propositions they have, what are their strong points. And if you have an option to actually understand why your segment is selects competitive products and why, that would be amazing. And it's also important to try to understand buyers preferences, spending habits, or buying cycles. So how many times a year they spend money, or what kind of budget they have. So depending if you're in a B2B or B2C market, you need to look for different things. Right. So now moving over to the part that would be probably most interesting for you, the case study. So the partner that we cooperated with and are still collaborating with is TeamAlert. TeamAlert is based in the US, and they provide alert systems for private companies and public institutions. Their product is a workplace panic button app, both mobile and web, and also a physical panic button. And currently, they are present with their products in 6 countries and in 48 states in America. And if we were to define what kind of value proposition they have, we could say that they are enabling workers to easily call for assistance in case of emergency, or alert coworkers, the police, or private security about dangerous events. So, for example, if you're working in a mental health clinic, or at school or public library, these you are probably interested to have such solutions in place, like to make the customers and also your employees secure. And our story with TeamAlert was the following. So in 2019, we together we created a minimum viable product of the solution, and it was released to the market, and there was the need for this product was confirmed. In the years 2020 2021, the product was gaining users and also lots of user feedback. So the feedback was actually spread all over the segments and verticals. So the challenge that was coming, like for the product team, but most of all for the management of TeamAlert, was like what to really focus on. And this is what they approached us with. In 2021, we started working on in a process to find a segment and a path towards product market fit. So basically, it meant that we need to find answers to some like super important questions, like which segment should TeamAlert focus on and why, and what should be the path to PMF, what would increase the product's overall chances of success and profitable future. Um, and the steps that we have taken are this is like a tailored process that we designed specifically for TeamAlert. We started with a session to analyze their business model, and we identified riskiest assumptions and areas that were not clear, or that we had many questions that were unanswered. And then we also, the next step was to actually to have a deep dive into the segments, so to understand what kind of segments TeamAlert is already servicing, which are promising, which are new. And what followed was the focus on personas for all those segments that we identified, and the value propositions for those personas. So we wanted to understand the needs and of the users in those segments. After that, we moved to hypothesis creation. So based on actually on the value propositions and personas, we created a list of hypotheses, and then we decided we want to validate them in a number of interviews with selected customers of TeamAlert. And naturally, we then had like analysis stage, and we drew some conclusions. And the next steps were, so all we had to do at that stage was to implement it in the product, and also in the value proposition, so also in the messages, the offers that were presented by the sales team. And just like quickly, this is the process that we went through together. So segmentation, personas, value proposition canvas, then hypothesis, then the most important part, which is actually talking to their users and validating value propositions. But we learned actually much more. So we managed not only to validate the value propositions, but we collected quite a lot of insights for the product. Then implementation in product, and of course looking at metrics, and the cycle starts again. So this is like, probably you do not really like see the details here, but I just wanted to give you like an idea what we did. The small chart in the middle is business model canvas, also developed by Strategizer, and this is what we did together. So we had a session, we sat, and we went through all the 9 sections of the business model canvas, and we found a lot of questions, and gray areas. So what we tried to answer is, do we have a specific value propositions for specific segments? um, how do they buy? What motivates users to actually make a purchase? What channels do we have to deliver the value propositions, and so on. You're probably familiar with business model canvas, so I'm not going to dive deep into details here. And moving on, so we started with the segmentations, as I said. So we focused on the analysis of what TeamAlert already had, and why was it a first step? Because of course it's super important. Matching customer segments to value proposition, and doing it in a really like nice way and in a really diligent way, you can achieve a much more lucrative revenue stream. So spending time talking to your users and and trying to really understand the problems and the challenges that they have is much more important than actually focusing on the solution itself. So it's important actually to focus on the right problems and not the right solutions. So that was our starting point, and just to give you an idea of what we did together with in a team, in a joint team, Boldare and TeamAlert, we had a number of questions, and we analyzed each of the 5 or 6 segments that we identified. So what we wanted to understand is how many accounts from this segment TeamAlert already has, and how many more are there to win. So what is the potential of this segment? How easy is it to sell to them? What market trends impact them? And what is their biggest pain? What are the triggers for change, for example? So what makes them actually come to TeamAlert and start the sales cycle? What competitor products are they using, and do we know why? This is a really super important question. What are the biggest market risks for this sector? And what is this segment buying from you now? So what kind of product set are they interested in? So do they only buy the physical button, or a combination, or only the digital solution? Yeah, and many more. So the result was some kind of like a segment analysis map, or something that was leading us to a decision matrix. Um, so out of this analysis, we have like a clear information what segment is biggest to win. So in terms of market segment size, which is the most like lucrative or the most interesting. What is the speed to market? So how easy would it be for us to actually deliver a solution for them? Can we build it? Do we have capabilities? Do we have resources um, to actually deliver them the solution in a fast way? um, where is the greatest need? So where do we see the best fit between the user need and our solution? And we also like had a look at feasibility risks. So are we able to develop the solution, or maybe is it too complex, like from technological point of view, or maybe we need to invest in a specific hardware. um, right. Another angle was behavioral segmentations. So we were also like looking, trying to look and for patterns of behavior. So any similarities in buying cycles, also in product usage. Um, and we also looked at the interaction with the product. So whether any similarities, how the users, how the segments were using the product. Um, all we Moreover, we try to compare Team Alert's unique selling point versus the competitors in the segment. So with this, we wanted to understand if there is any uniqueness about Team Alert's solution in the segment, because it's also super important. So if you really want to be successful, and if you want to or the chances for reaching PMF are much higher if the solution you're bringing to the market is like 5, 10, 20 times better than the competitors. And at the end, we also had a look at sales cycle times, closed rates, customer lifetime value, and acquisition costs. So all the data that we have had from in our sales tools. Right. So with all of this overwhelming information, uh, we wanted to make some kind of priorities. So out of this, out of the decision matrix and the opportunities that we saw in the segments, we want to like now to make some sense of it, and to actually make like a list of priorities. So what we also try to answer were like those two questions that you can see in bold. So which opportunities do we say no to and why? Or maybe we say no to this year, but maybe next year or in 2 years we will say yes to. But now we say no. And which opportunities and which segments might we say yes to and why? And answering those, we have an understanding of the key segments. Right. And here is also like a super fast what we did after that. So once we had the segment selected, the priority segment, we dove into personas, value propositions for specific personas. Here we differentiated between user persona and buyer persona, and we came up with a list of hypotheses or assumptions that we wanted to test with the users. So we assume that maybe this user or this director of IT his biggest pain is this and that. So this is what we came up with for each persona, and we ended up with a list of hypotheses, which were then validated in a series of user talks. And just to like give you an idea, it's just like a piece of a huge Excel with the data that we collected. So we had the hypothesis divided by segments. We had clear information if the hypothesis was validated positively or negatively. And we also collected a huge amount of product insights, which was like also super valuable. Yeah, so now coming to an end of this case study, um, we ended up with a list of validated hypotheses of the pains or the needs and the value that the user perceives, and we had clarity on what needs to be emphasized in the value propositions. So, for example, in the segment of mental or rehab clinics, what do we need to emphasize? What is important? What's most important for those users? Um, so this was like the first result. The second result was product insights based on user value, which was like a pool of ideas for further product development cycles. And the steps that happened after that and are happening actually still now are naturally development cycles of the solution, and looking carefully at the customer funnel and the metrics. So we observe closely what's happening with the users. And of course, at the very end, build, measure, learn loops. So the job is not done. You need to do it in a continuous way. So with all of this process, we had the following results. We had a 300% rise in users. We had a clear strategy on priority of segments. We also gathered valuable insights for product teams, and um, what's also like equally important, a much more conscious and thoughtful approach to where TeamAlert invests money in the product path. And if you're wondering if your product is ready for product market fit, I strongly encourage you to get this set of this asset that we prepared for you. It's a product market fit workbook. It will guide you through a list of 14 questions, and then you will be able to check if your product is ready for product market fit. And now, I have two more things for you, which is key takeaways. Two more slides. What we learned. So, what was like the most valuable, also like for the partner, but also for us, in this whole process. So, definitely PMF is different for each product. The time that it takes, the path that you take, and the effort. And it's super important to analyze where you are before you actually start going for PMF. PMF needs a well thought out strategy, um, and you need to talk to the users. So validate everything with the users. Don't count on your great ideas. Make sure you check and you have market evidence. There are no shortcuts on to finding PMF. It's a meticulous process, and there is like a couple of learnings more. So um, I think I mentioned it already earlier that you need to think of sales and marketing and all the remaining areas of the business model, and not only on the solution, so not only on the product, because it's not enough. It is also good to build your own opportunity map or opportunity decision matrix based on the data that you actually have. So on your sales data, on the funnels, you can get inspiration from the available like market frameworks, but it's better to work work on your own. Work with the riskiest assumptions, opportunities, and test them. That's not a no-brainer. And work out how you measure your PMF. And I think this is a topic like probably for another session or another meeting or a number of meetings even, because product metrics is a huge topic. But it's important like to actually discuss within your team what and how you will measure. So what will tell you exactly that you're closer to PMF? What is the one metric that will tell you, like the North Star metric, that will tell you where you are? PMF is an iterative process. It doesn't go in a straight line, so you will have ups and downs. And one final conclusion is it's a constant process of refining your value propositions and customer segments by testing product and market hypothesis. So it's a lot of effort. And I think that's all from me. Thanks a lot. And I'm super happy to have some questions from you guys.
So thank you so much, Aneta, for your talk. And I'm very impressed with you, while being not well, still talking to us. So I'm not sure if I'm a little bit sick. I'm a typical man flu person, so I wouldn't be able to do any talk at all. Yeah, let's go to some online questions and questions also from the audience. I will take the microphone and be able to walk to you. Anyone with a question? Yes, I will go to you. We have to use the microphone so Aneta can hear you.
Thanks. Thanks, Annette. It was very interesting to hear your presentation on product market fit and how to get there. I guess what I'm curious about is the way I've understood you present product market fit is that it's basically at a third stage after prototype and MVP. Now I'm wondering that a lot of techniques that you presented are actually things that in lean startup methods are also done in those earlier stages. So I'm curious, like, what is the specific part of it that you see is especially important to do at this stage of product development as opposed to in earlier stages?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the chart is misleading. I can hear my echo, and it's not really comfortable. Okay, so I will try to answer the question anyway. Um, I think the chart that I was presenting was quite confusing because prototype and MVP are both tools that you can actually use in product market fit or scaling or problem solution fit. I don't know if that answers your question.
Answer the question, yes. Thank you so much, Aneta.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else with a question? And feel free to ask. Yes, I will go to you. 1 second. We need to hear it, otherwise Aneta cannot hear you.
All right. Hi, I'm Harvey. So I have a question about the TeamAlert. So yeah, two questions actually. So I'm kind of curious about the app. Where can we see the app? You know, the TeamAlert, like like have our hands on it. You know,
Hmm.
So
So
yeah,
there definitely is a website that you can look for information there. I think we can maybe share it with the team in the chat, and it should be available in App Store.
App Store, it's like on the top, right? All right.
Just a second, I will look for it.
Well, as a resource, right? So we'll be able to share this recording anyway, and we can also share where you can find it and what link it is to kind of look it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's TeamAlert spelled together.com.
The thing was, it wa I saw like a 300% increase in users. So what does the 300% mean? Absolute
Yeah,
numbers, you know?
yeah. That's you mean in the user numbers?
Exactly, exactly.
I don't have the exact number in mind, but I don't know if there is anyone from the TeamAlert team with us, or we can share the information also later and check like what numbers it was.
Anyone else a question? I'm just walking through. Or Dima, can you see any? Yes, the questionnaire again. I will go to you.
Hi, I have a question about potential because you said that it is important to learn what is the potential of your idea, I guess, and I am curious about the best techniques that are used to learn about the potential.
Are you referring to the potential of a segment or?
Yeah, that's right.
Right, yes. So I think in the slide when I was presenting the opportunity matrix, um, I think it depends on the product itself. So what the potential can really mean. So what is the size of the segment, the feasibility of you delivering the solution, the also the time of go to market. So I think it's very individual.
Was your question answered or a follow up?
Um, I was thinking more about the size of the market. I guess it's hard sometimes. If the product is very specific, it's hard to know what is the market size.
Yes, and I think sometimes the size is not really like the decisive factor. So I will give you an example of like super expensive knives that will probably never like hit main market or mass market, but there is like a specific niche on the market that would be happy to invest a lot of money in a set of very expensive knives, like Japanese knives, for example.
Cool. Thank you so much.
I,
I think and I hope it was answered. Otherwise, feel free to ask afterwards also, right? So we will all be available, also Aneta, and also either in the community or via other channels. So no worries about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's super weird for me not to see the people, you know? It's a funny experience.
Sorry, I have to switch a bit because I also have some online questions. So one question is Aneta, it's from Cuba. It's can you give some examples of recognizable companies that have gone through the product market fit phase successfully?
Yeah, and probably all of us know them, like Airbnb, Notion, Miro, that are, I think, like the most well-known ones, but also Facebook.
So much. And then I have another question from Koen from the Netherlands, who I actually know, but I didn't know he was joining in on the stream. Could you share an example of a PMF metric?
Yes, for example, retention. So retention is of course, there are like a number of metrics that you can track under retention, but retention is important because it tells you that the users stay with your solution.
Thank you so much. Any other questions from the audience? Yes, I will go to the back. There you go.
Hello, Aneta. I'm Adam.
Hi.
What was actually the only metric that mattered, and did it change over time?
For TeamAlert, I think we did not select the metric together, but in their case, I think it would be number of so the acquisition metrics, number of new accounts. It is not. It is a product that you invest. So the sales cycle are look like that. That you buy the solution, you invest one time, and there is only a small fee afterwards. So the number of new accounts, I think, would be quite meaningful.
Thank you. Any other questions from the audience? Perfect. I think then we move on. Let's give Aneta first another round of big applause. Thank you so much for answering and helping us.
Thank you guys for listening to me.
Yes, and then
it was a pleasure, and have a nice evening and networking.
Perfect, and thank you so much for joining, Aneta. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you, see you. And then for you guys, so first of all, thank you again for joining and being here and listening to Aneta's story. It was a pleasure having you, actually. Also very nice that you had so many questions and were so interested. And then a few other things. So as said before, right, we're still here at this location. So if any questions about what Aneta said or anything else or any other cases, feel free to ask me or my colleagues, and you can recognize us because we have a black sign and you have a pink sign. So if you want to look for that, you should be fine by that. For the rest, I would encourage you actually to have a drink and just stay with us for a while as long as you enjoy. We will let all of you know actually for next time when we have an event, how you can join, and hopefully with the person in real life. So sorry again for Aneta not being able to come, but we figured out it's better to have this event with her like this way than cancel it at all, because then it's Christmas, New Year again, and we'd have to move it very, very far away. So thank you for that. And then lastly, I'm going to mention the community one more time again. For all your questions, like all the ones we heard about product market fit right in the audience, feel free to join. We're not selling anything there, if that's a worry or a regard. And I'm watching that very, very strongly, so you don't need to worry about anything like that. It's just a Slack group. You can join anytime. You can ask questions there and just be there. So yeah, it was a pleasure meeting you. Also to all the people online, thank you so much for tuning in and have a nice evening. And for all of you, I would love to have a drink with you in a second. So thank you so much for joining.